Hello, Redditors. Hello, Challenge fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Redditors React Podcast. And we have reached episode 10 of the Challenge Spies, Lies, and Allies. And the game has changed. And the show has got interesting again. I'm very excited. I'm Levi Hall. And I'm here, as always, with my co-host, George. How are you doing?
I'm good, cheers, buddy. You know what's ridiculous? Like, Rivals 1, I think, is like 13 episodes in total. This feels like we are now starting a new season on episode 10. And it's like we've barely even got into the game. Obviously, we'll get to this later, but they've obviously changed how people are leaving, should we say. There is a lot of this season still to go. Yay!
Well, do you know what? I'm glad, because I've said for weeks that I'm bored of this season. And now finally, you know, we'll talk about it more on the podcast, but finally something has happened. It's all new again. We can get excited, and I am happy. And I have not been happy for 9 weeks, George. I have not.
Challenge only or other things? Do you need a
Oh, no. I mean with the challenge.
Okay.
It just got repetitive, but now it started all over again. And do you know what's starting all over again? Our podcast. It ended last week and it's starting today. We are back to a Thursday night, thank God, because on Friday nights we are useless. And we have a very exciting guest today. We have Drew Angelman. Now, a lot of you may know him from YouTube, Angel Cake Entertainment. He does loads of amazing challenge videos over there. I'm really excited to speak to him. And we will be speaking to him. He will join us for the whole show. But before that, George, as is tradition with the Challenge Redditors React podcast, it is the segment that I believe only we give a shit about. It's the banter segment.
What we've effectively done with this is just record you and me catching up.
Yeah, we've actually stopped catching up pre-pod now.
Yeah, just because, well, repeating the same stories to each other gets a bit boring.
Yeah, well, what are the stories? Do you have the stories?
No, I don't. It's been a bit of a quiet week. Actually, no, I went to see my friend's film premiere on Tuesday, which is pretty awesome.
Nice.
Spent like 3 years editing his attempts to swim every lake in the Lake District across like 5 days. The previous world record was 3 years.
Is your friend called Wes Bergman?
I'd so watch Wes do that. That'd be brilliant. Let's be right with challenge. Anyone can. It's like over 80. No, it's over like 120 kilometers of swimming, I think, across 5 days. It's ridiculous. But really good film. He did an awesome job. I think they're submitted to a couple of film festivals. That was entertaining. What else has happened recently? Went to my friend's Roaring Twenties themed party. Wore a very, very shiny.
How old is he?
No, sorry. Roaring Twenties themed, not that she is turning 20.
Oh, no, but I thought it was like maybe she was turning 30 and that's why it was Roaring Twenties to make her feel a bit better.
Yeah, no, that's I spent 90% of the night going. So the original Roaring Twenties was a very, very fun party time in the US, and then they entered the 30s where the Great Depression started. Guess who's about to enter the Great Depression?
You're gonna be 30. It's all right. I've been here for nearly 5 years, so no, actually, I'm giving myself a disservice. 4.5 years. It's not quite reached nearly 5. I've been in the 30s for a while now, so it's not too bad. You know, grow a beard. Just tell people you're younger and that's why you've grown the beard. When I shave it off, people are like, I thought you were 24. I was like, I'll take that.
You do look incredibly young with no beard.
Well,
is there a trim on the horizon? You promised Brian some flicky hair.
Yeah, there will be. I just need the opportunity to go back and see my parents where the hairdresser is. I went back on Sunday, but obviously the hairdresser is closed on a Sunday. But I'll tell you what I did do this week. I did go to England-Hungary at Wembley.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a terrible game?
It was a terrible game. It was also marred by crowd trouble from the Hungary section. Fortunately, I was the other side of the ground, so this not so beautiful face has been saved. But I went to this is not a sponsor. I went to Box Park beforehand. So what Box Park do on Wembley games, the one in Wembley, you have to have a ticket to go in, like, for the game. So they only let people with a ticket in. But they have this DJ that just like gets you really hyped for the match. And my 2 mates got this like massive meat platter for 3. I had the vegan option. I'm not a vegan, but sometimes I like to have like a vegan meal. So I had the vegan option. So they were, one, slightly annoyed with me, two, slightly disappointed in me, and three, had to eat this giant meat platter for three. Now, the annoying thing is with Box Park is you order the food and then they message you when it's ready, you go and get it. Theirs took ages to come. Kickoff was 7:45. Their food, they got the text saying it was ready at 7:20. So the two of them, and I have a time lapse, and I will send it to you later, woofed down this huge meat platter. It had pork ribs, it had steak, it had chips, it had chicken wings. Woofed it down in about 4 minutes. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It also made me feel slightly sick. But yeah, a good night was had by all, and they did bloody well because it was a challenge for them to do.
Yes, it was. Can you time lapse that with the Benny Hill music?
Yeah, I can add it in if you want.
That'd be actually quite entertaining. But
speaking of challenges,
from one big meaty challenge to the other, how are you getting on with your big meaty October cycling challenge? That name's not going to stick. I think it's something better to call it.
What we could call it the TJ challenge. He cycles.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought you'd get that quicker. So yeah, it's gone much better this week. It's gone much better this week. So I did a 15-kilometer spin on Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, I actually wasn't allowed to exercise for medical reasons, which I won't go into, but you're aware of that. Then yesterday, I did my usual 5K run at work as part of Monday, Wednesday running club at work. Then I got home, I had my dinner, I let it go down for an hour, went to the gym, did a weight session. Straight after the weight session, I did another 15-kilometer spin on the bike. And once I've edited the video for this, I am going to send it to upload to YouTube, which is the longest part of this whole process. And while it's uploading to YouTube, I'm going to do another 15 kilometers. So it's not going too bad. I'm not going to hit 400, I'll be honest. But it's got me back into it, George. So that is what is important.
Also,
but
also,
obviously,
if you miss 400, I can just make you do that in November, and I don't have to think of a new challenge.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. And the thing is, obviously, I'm doing it on a stationary bike, so I don't really move. I've got no corners to go around. But if I could pick any corner to go around if I was on a bike, it would be Redditors Corner, George. What's been happening on the challenge subreddit this week?
So there's actually been some very, very good. I'm going to stick with the standard format. A couple of thoughtful posts and then one shit post, and it's the shit post we enjoy. But someone raised a really good question.
I won't be putting them on the screen because that takes a lot of effort.
Sorry, I'm going to hold them up to the camera. So someone from the real Paulie Guatelleri, great name, posed the question: in a partnered final, would you rather have every member of the opposite sex be a decent competitor or a shit competitor? So basically, like, if you're ever like for your best chance to win, if you're swapping partners throughout, would you rather have them all be good or all be bad?
All be good. I don't know why. I just think all be bad. I'd just get really pissed off and then I'd turn into a horrible person and make myself look bad on TV.
Yeah, it'd be hard for the motivation to keep going if you're actually just like, oh, there's no point in this. This comes down to it.
And also, as a quite obviously weak link in the pair, I would want the girl to be able to carry me through this fight.
Very good answer.
Self-deprecation.
And then the shit post this week, which I thought was brilliant, was are you familiar with the Ralph Wiggum "I'm in danger" meme?
Is that on a TV show that I've not watched?
You haven't watched The Simpsons, have you? Yes, no. It is. But basically, great reaction. And this is slightly spoiling the podcast, but who cares? Whoever is voted into elimination can choose their own opponent. Just a picture of Josh going, "Uh-oh, I'm in danger."
No one's going to pick him. They want him in a final so they can win.
Oh, that's a good question. Let's save that actually as a bit of a discussion point later. Who do you call out?
Well, definitely. I think we should definitely discuss that later. And I don't think it should just be you and me who discuss this, George. I think we should bring in our third person in the hot seat for this week. His name's Drew. As I said, he runs an amazing challenge YouTube account. He also does like Survivor stuff as well, called Angel Cake Entertainment. So with that said, let's say hello to Drew. Drew, great to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Getting up at 5 a.m. to do a video on the review and recap, and tired, but good. I'm happy.
Well, we appreciate it because those are fantastic videos. Your YouTube channel, Angel Cake Entertainments. So can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing it? I know you do Survivor content on there as well.
Yes, very minimal. I'm doing review and recaps this season for it. I'm doing a little bit of that, but mainly I speak about the challenge. I do mainly stats videos, whether it's eliminations, fun stuff, doing player histories. I'm delving into documentaries about players. I'm working on one about Cars Evolution right now, and then I'm going to be doing Wes and DM's documentaries as well coming up in November. But I just do whatever I want to do, and mainly it's about the challenge, but other stuff I just like put stuff together. I react to Endurance, which is a kids show from like 2000 something. John A from Challenge All Stars and the Challenge was on that in season 1. So I watched season 1. I loved it. Everybody was telling me to do more seasons. So I'm now doing more seasons. And now I'm just like wrapped up in this kids show from 2008. And I get really heated about 13-year-olds that are now like 30-year-olds. So it's very fun. I'm just having fun making videos, making content in this day and age where I'm just staying home, working from home. So I'm just trying to have fun and make light of it.
On your background alone, it sounds like you're having a lot. It looks like you're having a lot of fun anyway. So, if anyone listening to it, he's got an absolutely brilliant collection of cartoons, anime characters. Yeah, I think if I ever had to do lockdown, I'd want to do it in your house, so I had loads of things to play with.
I want to know if you've opened those Funko Pops.
No, I do not open any of them. When I started collecting Funko Pops, I was in college, and you have very small amount of room. So the best way to like keep them pristine and also be able to like stack them, you have to keep them in the box. So I just always keep them in the box. They have their nameplates, they have the movies or TV shows that they're from. So I'm just like, yeah, it's like a little case. I'm sure that's what they made the packaging for, but I'm like, why even take them out? I don't have like a desk or anything. I'd rather just like stack them in like a neat a pyramid or any way I want, or just put them in the closet. They're easy to stack there too.
My God, you can play Jenga with them.
Yeah, pretty much. I have a problem. I may have a problem.
It's not a problem if you're good at it, and it seems like you're very, very good at it, doing the right thing. So nicely done.
I think the video that I saw of yours that really made me go, I really want to get this guy on our podcast, is the video that you did about the ratings this season. Mm-hmm. And you talked about how the challenge seems to go in waves, which it kind of hit home a little bit. It reminded me of Chris Whitty and Sir Patrick Vallance doing the discussion about the third and second and first wave of COVID, which will mean nothing to non-British viewers. But it was really, really interesting. And what gives you the ideas of doing those type of videos that are obviously different from the obvious ones, you know, like our podcast, which is we're reacting to this episode that's just happened?
I've been watching a lot of random videos and channels, especially during lockdown and quarantine from the past like year and a half, almost 2 years now. And I watch so much different content from so many different people. And I've watched like Jenny Nicholson, who does mainly like deep dives and random rants about movies and stuff, which are like ridiculous. I watched a 2.5 hour video of her talking about the Vampire Diaries, and I've not seen a single episode of the Vampire Diaries, but I'll watch that episode. I'll watch that video and I go, I want to do something that's deep dive and heavily researched and just dive into it. So I've never done a video like that, and it made me want to do it. And I was so nervous doing it because I was like, I don't know if people are going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, which of course you're going to get comments like that no matter what video you do. But I was like, I'm just going to try it out, see if I can find some patterns, see if I can find some through lines over the seasons, over the course of seasons, what was happening last season or the seasons prior to where are we at now. And I had a lot of fun going down rabbit holes and making Excel spreadsheets. And I will say that I'm still nervous to the day that I still have that up, because you'll have people that are like, wow, I love what you said. And then there's other people that are like, this guy's trash. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The show is garbage now. That's why the ratings are over. And it's like, okay, that's a simple way of putting it, but sure, whatever you want to do. But I've never done anything like that. So it was very fun to do.
I imagine those mean comments only come from simple people who are rude and have no business sharing their opinion. That was me who said that, not Drew, by the way. So if you've got a problem, come at me.
And since we're both British and probably sound similar, by me, he means George.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you who does want to hear your opinions, and that's us. And we want to hear your opinions of this week's episode of The Challenge. So it is back for another episode. Last week, the vet war began, which saw Corey and Bettina voted into elimination against Jeremiah and Amber, or Amber B, as they still keep calling her. Now, sadly, we said goodbye to Amber, and Jeremiah also left. And then TJ threw a spanner in the works and sent Corey and Bettina back to the group. No partner picks, no nothing, because it's time for the game to change. Now, that's obviously a lot to digest, so let's head back to the house and find out what happened when they returned from the lair. So they are all at a loss for words as to what is going on. But you know who's never at a loss for words? That's old Nelly T, because he sends his congratulations to Corey on his win. And Corey says he doesn't trust anyone, especially not Kyle, Amanda, and Ashley. And it's Corey against the world, obviously, with Nelson holding his hand. Obviously, we saw what happened with Kyle last week, and we know that him and Kyle have had this kind of on-off, mainly off friendship for a while after Kyle snaked him in vendettas in his first season. I didn't see anything happen between him and Amanda. Well, why is she suddenly on this shit list?
Is it from what happened in the deliberation where, I don't know. I mean, they were fighting last time in the deliberation with them, which is Corey and Nelson going up against Ashley and Amanda. So it could be just the two friendships going at each other. I have no idea.
I also just think Amanda probably gets bored. Like if you're in a house and there's nothing else to do and she can find any infinitesimally small way to start a fight, she will. That's why she's good for reality TV.
Do you reckon she's the type of person that, like, you're all sitting around on the sofa and she'll just go sit next to you and just start flicking your arm non-stop just because it makes her enjoy watching you be annoyed?
It sounds like something that happens to you a lot more than it should.
I know, I wouldn't mind Amanda sitting there flicking my arm for a while. I think she'd be annoyed because I'd like it too much. It's too much information I've just given to the world. Well, the few people in the world that watch us, like our friend in Nicaragua. He's a big fan. No, I agree with you. What you say about it's obviously a kind of follow on from the old deliberation. But I kind of feel like often with deliberation, once it's done and the eliminations happen, they kind of tend to forget about it, especially when it's people that have known each other for so long.
I'd say an interesting thing there as well, though, is, yeah, you cannot trust Amanda, but she's not a dangerous person not to trust because she's so emotionally vocal. You don't really have to worry about where she stands. I can't really ever see her stabbing an alliance member in the back because she's fiercely loyal and she can't control how annoyed she gets with people. So you would just know where she is all the time. So it's more like she'll stab you in the face, but not the back. Ooh, ow.
Yeah. I think it's just the way the votes went down too. I mean, she'll always have Ashley's back. That's her number one. She's not going to have anybody ahead of her. So Corey just doesn't like it. So it's just plain and simple, I think.
Yeah. Corey's an interesting one because he's a vet, but he's like what I call one of the new vets. Anyone that comes from Real World Explosion onwards is kind of new school. But he seems to have this really like entitled opinion of himself. Is that just me thinking out, or do you guys agree?
Apart from CT, is he the person who's been on the with Ashley, the longest? Has anyone been on longer than him?
That's currently on screen.
Yeah.
Yes. Nani's been on 11 seasons, I believe. And then Corey's up there. He's one of the long-staying vets from on this season in particular. But yeah, I don't think it's entitled. I just think he has he's finally got to that vet level where I think that he's been thrown into the elimination by the quote unquote vets in his earlier seasons. So now he's at that point and he's still being thrown in. And I think he's just tired of it at this point.
And also he does have kids that he needs to win this show for. I don't know if he's mentioned it much this season. Mentioned it a lot in previous season. Oh, Drew, you may not know this. George hates Nanny. So just thought I'd throw that one in. He spent the whole of last season slagging her off. It was horrendous. It was really awful to hear.
Yeah,
I hope she's all right. Poor girl.
So weird I did that in your voice.
Well, we're British. Our voices sound exactly the same. Speaking of interesting conversations, Tori and CT are talking, and Tori says, "Did you expect Amber to be out of the game?" And CT says yes. He says, she's a threat because she's good at running, but not much else, which I thought was a bit, considering that she helped him win $450,000. What did you think of that comment? I thought it was a bit horrible.
Okay, so I'll get Drew to help me here because there's a lot of stat-based stuff in here. On paper, she's won a daily. She's 3-1 in eliminations. Smashed the final, really good at running. And that across 2 seasons is a very, very good challenge rap sheet. But if you look at her elimination wins, she beat 2 of the smallest girls in Hall Brawl. Very, very good win against Coriel and Michelle. And then the daily win, I think, was actually mainly down to Darrell, and then she got a lifetime of free Burger King, which I'm sure she doesn't touch because she's got the body fat index. She's already got like 4% body fat. But I don't know whether she seems to be overrated and underrated simultaneously, because I think she's pretty good at dailies. She won the first checkpoint in the last final, but then there's also the asterisks around some of her other wins, which I think make people over and underestimate her.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of the Amber hate this season. I mean, I think she's very much underrated. It's not like this season now where I'm going to jump ahead. I mean, you can't just pick your opponent. So, I mean, maybe she would have picked Big T or Amber in the Hall Brawl, but I mean, she didn't have any choice of picking her opponent at that point. So, I mean, we can't really dog her for going up against them. I mean, it's not like Fessy, who was wanting to go up against Nelson or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a very weird comment to make. I didn't like it at all. He did the same thing later on with Big T after he was we saw that arc of him last season where he was like, oh, I really want to be with Big T. Maybe I would be doing better with Big T. And then this season comes in, and I think we're actually seeing his true colors. Maybe he was saying all of that stuff in the confessionals last season. They just cut around it to make him look better when he won. And now this season's coming in, and we're seeing a little bit more of what he truly feels now that he may have a lot better relationships in the house. Everybody wants to be around him, and he doesn't have to rely on a partner anymore. So I think that's where it's come from.
Had it come from anyone else, and we've obviously seen this horrible thing across the season, just people saying horrible stuff about Amber. If it had come from anyone else, you'd be like, oh, it's another person saying horrible things about Amber. But it came from someone that she helped win $450,000. She ate all that horrible stuff. She drank the blood. Yeah. She beat him in that first checkpoint, which was the same as the first episode challenge. Come on, it wasn't just she's a good runner and does nothing else.
No, this season's been weird for Amber, right? We've interviewed her before and we love her. We're really, really biased, but I keep trying not to be. But I still think this season is the best thing for her MTV career, because she was only an alternate at the start. I think she's got in so much drama and showed different elements of her as competitive this year. We'll get her back next season now, which is great. And I hope she proves everyone else wrong.
And I think she will. Now, the big question here is surrounding this whole Corey, Bettina, you just go back now, no picking of the partners. And Tori does say to CT, look, do you think it's an individual game? And CT says, no, I think we're picking new teammates at the challenge. Obviously, we've all watched the episode, so we can't go, oh, what do we think is going to happen? But what did we think would happen at this point while we were watching this conversation? I'm going to go to you first, Drew.
I instantly thought that neither one of those was going to happen, because why would MTV put in their edit 2 people saying a theory that would come correct? They wouldn't sit there and be like, the game is so predictable, one of these theories is going to be it. And even when it happens, when TJ's like, no pairs, we have Casey going oh, I knew it was going to be individual. And she says it 3 times. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not going to be individual. What is it then? So at that time, I was like, it's neither one of these ideas. I wonder what it could be. And I was expecting it to be, at this point, I was expecting it to be teams, because that was the only other thing that was coming up on my Tiny Table Talk last week, was people saying it could be 3 teams of 6. And I was like, that seems weird. I wouldn't expect that. But after all these theories that everybody was putting out there, I was like, okay, well, that's gotta be it. Like, that's the only thing I could think of.
I was just sold from our friend of the pod, Lauren, who was our guest last week, telling us that the puzzle they were solving was the Cutthroat symbol. And that was it, like, oh, good, return to Cutthroat 2. And which meant annoyingly, I didn't get that surprise when it happened, but it was, I still think the fact they put that as a clue or a little bit of an Easter egg throughout the episode was incredibly cool. And I'm glad.
So, sorry, you saying that Lauren ruined the show for you? Because
No,
for me, it was very insightful and very exciting. George, so ungrateful.
Stop trying to get me in trouble. No, I'm glad because it does show at least that they are forward thinking, and that will mean that I now annoyingly probably watch every episode about 4 times this season to see if I can find out what clue's coming next.
And can I ask as well?
God, I hope there's a backpack at some point, and Johnny just gets brought in to be carried out of elimination.
Well, can I ask as well, Drew? Because obviously George and I had heard this kind of cutthroat theory last week from Lauren, who was on our show. George especially goes all over the Reddit, and one of the Reddit posts was very much about breaking down, look, this is a symbol that they put together, this is this, it's got to be cutthroat. Did you hear this idea that was going around?
I only heard it from the comment sections from my own videos. I used to go on Reddit all the time when I was in college because I would just be in classes for like 1 to 3 hours at a time. So I would just like waste so much time not listening and just going on Reddit. But I don't go on it as much anymore. So when I proposed the theory or asked people what they thought, a lot of commenters in my comment section were either saying that they hope it's solo, they hope it's a reset, or it was that 3 teams of 6 each. And they brought up the Cutthroat symbol. And I was like, that does make sense. But then again, we are in a spy
lion and
theme.
ally.
It really doesn't. I mean, anything could fit into this. They're like ham fisting like soccer balls into being bombs. So I'm not like looking deep into like a logo on a puzzle that could be possibly even more. But I do like that they did put that as like a Easter egg, kind of like, oh, this is what's going to happen next. I don't know. I'm still mulling it over if I really enjoy this twist or not.
Do you remember what was the most popular format people were after from your comments? What came up most?
I think solo was, everybody thought it was, majority of people thought it was going to be solo. And then it was a mixed bag of 50-50 on whether people were really into that or really nervous about that. Because if it's solo, then it could just be easily throw in all the rookies at once. And let's just keep on going with the vet truce. So
that would
I can
have made
see
a really thrilling show.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was worried about too. I was like, oh man, we just got this spicy episode and now I don't want to be solo and throwing in rookies again, which I mean, we got another rookie thrown into this season. So
now we're getting quite deep on this, but I think it's important to talk about a deep conversation that happened in the house between Bettina and Priscilla, and they start talking about what they're playing the game for. Bettina, she's just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took a midnight train going anywhere. Singer in a smoky room, smell of wine and cheap perfume. But Bettina's doing it for all the small town girls out there.
Good. I thought you were going to read out the rest. I thought you were going to read out the rest.
I'm not reading. I know the words. It's journey, mate. She's going on a journey. But yeah, she's doing it for all the small town girls out there, which they tried to make seem deep. They tried to make seem like really emotional, but really it's just her going, yeah, I live in a small place in Sweden. I quite like to move to LA. Whereas Priscilla's reason I much preferred and actually found really interesting to watch. Her mum is first generation UK. I don't know how her ancestors or when her ancestors came over here. But some of the stuff she said about how her mum takes on the responsibilities for her cousins because their parents have passed away. It reminds me of like, I live in an area of the UK which has a lot of people like that and a lot of families like that. And it really kind of touched me, and I found it really nice to watch and really nice for her to talk about. And she says she wants to do it, win this to get the money, to take the burden off her mum and show how strong she is. So I think we can gloss over Bettina's reasons. She just wants to be in the band journey. But yeah, what do we think of Priscilla and what she had to say?
Amazing, heartfelt. I mean, it makes this elimination all the more hard when it comes to the results of it. Yeah, to go from Bettina going, I want to get money so I can leave my small town and live somewhere in a bigger town, to Priscilla's reasons. It was like, did we really need to hear Bettina's reasons after that? Just bury the lead on that one. But yeah, it was very heartfelt, and I got pretty emotional when hearing her talk about it, and then rewatching the episode this morning. So
I actually also think MTV did a very good job editing this. Dropping in the photos of her and her mum was quite a nice touch as well. They really hammered it home. On the Bettina side, if you're going to go that way, go full Gabbo and just go, no, I want sports cars, watches, and go out drinking and partying. It's like, good, be that unapologetic, self-ashamed you want cash, or be heartfelt. Don't try and find the middle ground.
I'll just be really pleased the moment that Bettina moves from her little village all the way to Stockholm and, furnishes her flat with things from IKEA. That's what we want for Bettina. But yeah, it was actually nice to see their friendship as well, because we've seen a few moments with them where they've kind of bonded from the fact they're rookies, but this felt like a real bonding session. It reminded me a little bit of when Devin and Big T last season were talking about, Devin was talking about when his father passed away, and Big T was talking about what happened in Malawi with her family. It was just nice to see that. And yeah, I agree with you, George. I think Challenge edited it really well.
Yeah. I'm just glad it wasn't, the scene didn't end with Devin yelling for somebody to shut up. Yes. Because that was the worst editing, or the worst choice to do that last season. I was really pissed at him when he did that. It was like, nice moment. We can like linger on this for a little bit, go into the next scene, and then he's just like, shut up, Amber. And she wasn't even talking. It was just weird. But I'm glad that didn't happen this time. Did she talk
much of that season? Yes, she did, because she was sassy. Now, speaking of people that talk, good old Josh, he's playing pool with hot guy Logan, and he asks how his night with Big T is, and we get a lovely little flashback, because when you are dating someone who doesn't have the best grasp of the English language, the best way to woo them is to tell them of Greek mythology, especially the story of Oedipus, who married his mother. What the fuck?
I don't have much game. This is not something I would ever try in a bar.
Hey, George, next week when I meet your mum, shall I tell her the story of Oedipus?
Please don't. Just please don't. Ed might kill you, and I can't edit podcasts. Sorry, for context, Drew, Levi is meeting my mum next week for my 30th birthday, and my brother is slightly terrifying and pretty good at boxing, and if he makes one your mum joke, Levi is in trouble.
I've already bought the ring. Do you want to see it?
I double the size of it before. Anyway, this was weird. It's a story about not only marrying and with your mum, doesn't he also kill his dad?
Yep, yes. So that he can marry and shag his mum.
Weird game, Big T.
And people say we don't do proper analysis on this podcast.
I think it was like a very heartfelt moment. I mean, he probably asked for a story. You don't know how many stories she's gone through at this point. Maybe it's like she's running out of stories and wanted to tell him about Greek mythology. I've personally had never had a girlfriend or anybody tell me the story of Oedipus Rex. So, I mean, I don't know how well it would work, but I think it was a noble story to try to like get across. I mean, she said in the aftermath that Logan didn't know half the words she was saying because there's a language barrier, but he definitely understood every single word of this Oedipus Rex story.
Yeah, I think his facial reaction when she says stabbed his eyes out is a particularly great moment for Logan. Actually, he looks fucking horrified.
Well, I think it's, if there's ever a way to friend zone yourself, I think this is it, because Logan does say, look, I like her in a different way now. I don't want to be serious with her. I just wanted a bit of horny.
It is.
He's
horny,
honest.
Is what he said. It is horny what he says, right?
Yeah, he wanted a bit of horny. Because he's horny. He's horny.
I'll be real. I think that this wasn't like the tipping point. I think this was it was coming. It was coming. Logan was wanting to put up the friend zone, put up the friend barriers, maybe friends with benefits, and maybe in one of their talks, or he noticed that she was maybe starting to develop real feelings for him and he wanted to shut it down. And I think that this was just like a funny way of being like, oh, he's shutting it down after that mother lover story kind of thing. But really, I think it was a long time coming and he wanted to shut it down before real feelings got too developed. And then it would have been really, really tough, maybe like during the off season or something, if they kept it going strong throughout the season. So that's just my opinion.
We've got no shame, by the way. You can say motherfucker.
Okay, cool.
Well, it could be that maybe it was the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th story of Greek mythology that she told him, and he'd constantly said, I'm Spanish, I'm not Greek, I don't want to hear these stories. Like, yeah, who knows what was going on with that relationship? He just wanted that bit of horny.
You're both on the spot. What Greek myth do you tell someone to try and get them into bed?
Okay, so the awkward thing is the only one I actually know is Oedipus.
I don't read all that often, but I know a little bit of Troy. I'll just name the movie Troy from
Trojan Horse.
Talk about talking about Brad Pitt's muscles for like an hour and a half because he was like really great in that movie. So I would just pick that one.
He could be a white guy on the challenge, George.
He would be one. Yeah, no, Drew, you got the right angle there. Just word association, make them think of you and Brad Pitt. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So from, this is an awful segue I'm about to do, but I'm doing it anyway because it works. From one mother-son combination to another, Amanda FaceTimes her son, which in my running order got auto-corrected to Amanda facetious with her baby.
Literally the only character on the show I can imagine being rude to her own child, though, so it does kind of work as well.
But it was nice. It was a really sweet scene because actually what we've been used to from seeing the FaceTime from home is Bear shagging his cousin, Nelson and Angela breaking up.
Incest we've ever had in a podcast.
Nelson and Amanda and Angela breaking up because Angela realized she could get a little bit of screen time on a FaceTime, and Zach and Jenna's relationship. So actually it was really nice to see this different side of Amanda, because I think when we see Amanda on the show, it's very game Amanda, very TV Amanda, and this was like a human side of Amanda. And they talked about, and I was waiting to see how long it would be before they mentioned it, because she does a really noble job. She's a nurse. She worked all the way through the pandemic, and she's a single mother. I thought it was really, really nice to just see that side of Amanda. And it actually gave us a different insight into her as a person, as opposed to this challenge Amanda character that we see.
More than that, she went back early from mat leave to help all her colleagues out. So generally, so she actually is pretty incredible outside of the show for that. Also, I couldn't think of another nice human moment Amanda's had on the show. It's normally always like feisty Amanda, should we say? Sassy Amanda.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this moment, but again, my challenge brain, where I'm trying to like figure out what's going to happen next or what the challenge is trying to tell me, I just realized in this moment when I was watching it last night, I'm like, okay, we just saw a lot more of Amanda than we have in the past couple of episodes. We just heard Priscilla get really heartfelt. I'm worried that both of these women are going to be going up against each other in an elimination, and one of them will have to leave. And we just got two very heartfelt moments from them. And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, don't do this to me right now. Like, you're giving me all these very sad, very warm moments, and you're just going to be like, yeah, guess what? In another like 40 minutes after you see like all these Johnson & Johnson ads and ridiculousness, all new Fridays, you're going to be seeing one of these two women leave after just pouring their heart out on national television. And it's like, I do not want to see this happen.
That is such a trap with the challenge, isn't it? As soon as you can have an episode focused on someone you like, you're like, oh, damn it, now I'm going to get hurt again.
I think as well that we had a guy called Jake on the podcast a few weeks ago who does a lot of Edgic. He started doing Edgic for Survivor, and then he moved into doing it for the challenge. And I'd never really heard of it before, but actually, since we've had him on, I'm like you in this sense, Drew, where I was thinking all the way through, okay, it's going to be Priscilla, and they keep talking about Amanda and everything she did during the pandemic. It's going to be her as well. And now I'm watching it with this like Edgic hat on. I just call myself Jake for that 1 hour and 1 minute and 26 seconds that I watched the challenge. Not with a VPN. So the alarm goes off and the agents head out to meet TJ. Great news is there's no rocks. Their footing's absolutely fine. No one's stumbling over. It's a very easy journey. So let's head down there ourselves and find out from TJ exactly what's in store for them for this week's mission. So this mission is called Diamond Dash. Now, before TJ explains the mission, he tells everyone that today they're going to have to adapt. They're no longer in pairs. And we see all these confessionals. Casey's excited. It's an individual game. Classic challenger stupidness. It's quite obviously not an individual game. TJ did not say it was an individual game. What are they doing? Very, very classic MTV editing.
I don't know how many of these like team format things were from this episode, to be fair. I reckon they've just like got as many as they could from, or they've coached them in a limit. They can't. Actually,
from the last 5 seasons.
I actually was about to say they can't be that dumb, and then I remembered that Casey thought wolves were herbivores, so yeah, they can be that dumb. Actually,
but let's remember though, those confessionals were filmed after the mission, so they obviously said to them, pretend that you thought it was a single thing, and I'd have been like, no, that's fucking stupid. I'm not going to make a dick of myself.
We do that enough as it is on this podcast, to be fair.
Exactly. I do it for 2 hours a week. I'm not doing it for 1 hour, 1 minute and 26 seconds of the week. What did you think, Drew? Were you fully convinced at this point it definitely was not a singles game?
100%. I mean, Casey does like the Beetlejuice where she says individuals like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, okay, it's definitely not that then. I mean, I just assumed that maybe something was going to happen later on, like in a checkpoint where people were going to have to like pair up or something. Like if you cross the finish line, kind of like in All Stars where you had to run, wait for somebody to join you and then just kind of run and go further. So that's what I thought they were going to do. And that was going to be like their sneaky way of like, oh, you see who you matched up with? Well, guess what? Now that's going to be your partner for the rest of the game and then lock it in or something to that effect. I knew it wasn't going to be individuals, especially after that confessional.
But can I ask, Drew, were you still very much of the opinion of this is not a 3-team cutthroat format? That comment that they put on my YouTube video, no, it's just speculation.
I didn't even think of it. I'm not going to lie. After we got back from commercial, because there's like a commercial every 10 minutes live, and I will watch this live because I am that dedicated / I need to go to bed. I didn't even think of it. I was just like, until Nelson is running with that diamond and I see 3 tables, I was like, okay, there we go. That's it. Yeah. It's 3 teams.
Well, before we jump ahead, because that's George's job. And by the way, George, I've seen you pour yourself a beer, so get out that bingo card because that is classic George. The mission itself, Diamond Dash, the agents are going to race down a trail to collect a sledgehammer, which is under rubble, which, 18 people very close to each other trying to dig a sledgehammer. Very safe, definitely not going to lead to sledgehammers to the face. They'll then choose from 3 assignments where they will get a code to open up their safe and get their diamond, a little hark back to mission 1 before arriving at a checkpoint. Then he will reveal what happens when they reach the checkpoint. So here are the possible assignments. They can do Vision Quest, where they use a pair of binoculars to locate a code to unlock their safe. They can do Fitting In, where they have to pick a box and hopefully it fits through an opening in a wall, which they'll then climb over. The box will then break open as soon as it goes through the wall, and it will give them the code to open their safe. Or Touch and Go, scratch paint with your nails. I wouldn't be able to do that. I bite them. Off a board to unveil a code. Now, the board happened to have a very interesting logo on it, didn't it, lads?
Yes.
Yes, George, you're doing it yourself. The Cutthroat logo. Now, when you saw this Cutthroat logo, when TJ was explaining the mission, Drew, did you think maybe it could be 3 teams?
I just knew all I could think about was I'm not scratching paint. Like that was the dumbest option in assignment. I was like, whoever does that is a loser because that is the worst.
It reminded me of, I can't remember which season it was. I think it might have been Dirty 30 or Vendettas.
30-30, it's where CT and Kara get sent to Redemption House after the challenge, and Veronica smashes a 3D puzzle.
Yeah.
Good old V. So, what did we think of this mission? So let's start before they reached the checkpoint. What did we think of, the sprint, the sledgehammer thing, which confused me because I was like, why have they got a sledgehammer? They haven't used it. And what did we think of those 3 assignments, gents?
I just agree with Drew. Whichever nutter went for scratch paint off, I don't understand your way of thinking. Also, can they use rocks or anything? Like,
It
even
looked like
if
Ashley was.
Oh, did it? Okay, I missed that bit. But why would I would use anything but my fingernails, because that sounds incredibly painful.
Yeah.
Do you know who'd have been good at
that?
Justina Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember that first one on Champs versus Stars. And she was like, yep, I'll pull the truck. Let's rip these nails off. She's a baller.
I was just waiting for a Kyle or Devin confessional, like, oh, Amanda will smash this because she's got claws, but never came. Apparently not that funny. Yeah.
You drink your beer.
I was more wondering why they put so my thought process about the sledgehammers was how lazy were they that they were like, we can't just put the sledgehammers out anywhere. We have to make them work for it. So let's just put them in a pile and then we'll dump rocks on it. Like, that would be fun, right? Like, it would be great. I was just like, why even do that? That just, first of all, you have to grab your sledgehammer so early on in the competition just so you would have it at the second station or at the checkpoint, which why can't you just have them at the checkpoint at that point? Why can't you just make it a sprint to the assignments and then everybody can just choose right at that same point? Or if you're not as fast, you get stuck with something. But yeah, I just was like, wow, cool with the hammer rocks thing. All right, sure. Box is the best option. It seemed like almost all the competitors that got there first to the checkpoints were from the box. And then the binocular, Logan had the most trouble because I don't know if he was looking through them backwards or what. My gosh.
I like the fact they had different codes for the binoculars one day. Everyone's helping each other. Then Josh is like, oh, I'm done. It's like, I thought originally he had tricked everyone else at that checkpoint. I was just like, yes, go Josh. And then it was just, they're all idiots.
Sorry, you thought Josh was smart?
I think Josh is more manipulative than people give him credit for. But yeah, I generally just thought that would have been great if it was, because if Devin did that, it would be like classic Devin. But no, Josh just got lucky with it.
Do you think it was a case of once 6 of them had chosen one assignment, then that assignment was off, no one else could use it?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why people ended up scratching off the Cutthroat logo.
Yeah. So you've already, Drew, you would have gone straight for the box one, yeah?
Yeah, I can't see very far. I have to wear glasses. So I would have definitely not tried the binoculars. I would have definitely went for the boxes, and there's no way I'm scratching nothing. Yeah. I'm not doing that.
Levi, would you have gone
boxes? Would you have gone boxes all the way? Love fitting things into holes. And apparently I can't speak. Now, let's talk about the order that they got to the checkpoint. And here is the question. After 42 failed missions, Nelson was the first to the checkpoint. Are we counting this as a mission win for Nelson?
We're not, but I celebrated while watching it because I thought he'd finally broken the streak, and I felt really, really bad for him. And then he makes such a meal of putting it on as if he's like Indiana Jones, who's found it in a temple and is summoning. No, that's not Indiana Jones. Anyway, but yeah, I thought it'd be like, oh my god, this is cinematic. Nelson's happy. It's like, nope, streak continues.
He did a good job though about getting Ed onto the platform to be on with them, because Ed was doing the smart thing. I will say he was doing the smart thing at first by waiting to see where everybody decided to put their gems. And then Nelson was really working them from the very beginning. He was like, come on, just put your gem down. We'll get some good people here. And it worked out. I think it worked out better for them in the long run, even though it doesn't work out for them this time.
Yeah. So what do you think is the best position to finish this mission to give you the edge to pick the right team?
5th.
Do you reckon? I'd say ninth.
100% fifth.
I'd say ninth.
No, because
Oh no, because it's men and women. Yeah, sorry.
What if the first 8 finishers were all men? Then you're just left with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to add some context, because we haven't actually said what they've come in the order of why they're going where, what's this stuff. So basically, Nelson arrives and he sees 3 platforms, which from the wide angle look like red, blue, and blue. From the close-up, look like red, blue, and a slightly greeny shade of blue. They should have picked different colors. But they're calling them Ruby, which is the red, Sapphire, which is the blue, and Emerald, which is the green. And when you get on that platform and you place your diamond in, you are part of that cell. So Nelson, which is, okay, this is classic Nelson. He arrives there and then for a while goes, which one shall I go on? It doesn't matter. You're the first one there. All you're picking is your color of t-shirt.
Well, exactly. You want to have the best colored t-shirt. That's what you want.
Do you want red or do you want blue?
Better?
Nelson looks great in everything. He's Scuba Nelly.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's hulking this season. So I would have picked blue. I love the blue barracudas from the old Legends of the Hidden Temple. Blue was my favorite color growing up. So I would have picked blue right off the bat.
Although behind you, I do see that you have got the red there in waiting. Maybe you're going to switch teams. Just looking at your shirts
maybe.
In the background.
Maybe. I will say that I love that you brought up the green looking like blue because I was thinking that as well. I was like,
yeah, it really pissed me off.
Isn't Ruby normally like a deep red that's like almost a maroon color? And they made it like hot pink. So I was like, very, very good choice. Even Nelson was like, hey, Corey, go to the pink.
So Nelson arrives first. He picks Sapphire. Josh arrives second, which I thought was interesting. Good job, Josh. He goes for Emerald. And then Corey arrives and he says that him and Nelson are really smart, so they're going to go on different teams. And Corey goes on Ruby. Probably the worst decision he made. Devin turns up and cements what we've all known. He is in an alliance with Josh and goes with Emerald. And then the next man to arrive is Emmanuel, who also goes on Emerald. So if we're looking at Emerald, they've now locked in their 3 males. They've got Josh, Devin, and Emmanuel. So you've got a very good social player, a very intelligent player who's good at puzzles, the person that's probably shown themselves to be the strongest athletic rookie so far. That's a hot commodity team when it just comes to the males so far, isn't it?
They're missing like brute strength.
That's true.
That's
which they will get later on with Casey.
Yeah, true. But
I also think Emmanuel is deceptively strong.
Yeah, he is, but he's still probably giving up 10, 15 kilograms, 30, 35 pounds to the bigger competitors, which is too big. But no, he's got very, very good lean muscle mass because he's a dancer, right? So but he's not going to be your champion in a hall brawl or in the most exciting daily they have in the mid-season trailer, which I'm giddy for, but I won't jump ahead because Levi will shout at me.
Hall brawl doesn't exist. We now call it Rage Cage. It's very different. It's a very, very different elimination.
Completely different.
And that was elimination that was just for the females. Now, we then have our first female to arrive. Priscilla, good to see, makes a terrible decision, joins Ruby. Emmy doesn't look up when she arrives, just goes straight to the first one, goes with Ruby. I would have thought that she'd have gone for one of the 2 shades of blue just to match her hair. But she looks up after she's placed her diamond and she realizes that Emmanuel is over on Emerald. I'm actually really struggling to say Emerald or Sapphire because I can't work out which is which. Bad decision by Emmy, I've got to say.
Well, this was all Corey. In the aftermath, him and Emmy were talking about how when Emmy showed up, he got right, he went straight to her when she showed up and was like, we can do this. You can join our team. You're very strong. We can be a great team. And he sold it to her, sold her the idea of the Ruby team. And so she put her gem down and then was like, oh, there's Emmanuel. I'm sure Emmanuel was fine with it because now he's the only rookie on that Emerald team. But yeah.
Was that Corey's Hail Mary to get CT?
Interesting.
It could have been.
that was all I thought there, because he knows she's emotional and makes snap decisions, and he gave her no time to think. So that was all I could think of when that was happening. Apart from also well played Emmy for finishing second, I don't put massive amounts of stock into who finished where in this, because they all had very different checkpoints. But still, Emmy, I think, is, well, actually probably not underrated anymore, but is a surprisingly decent physical competitor.
And
I think she did the box one.
Yeah,
the piss easy one, as we like to call it. And then another very good competitor on the rookie side, Ed. Now, we discussed this. Ed actually arrived, I think, third, but he decided to wait to see how the teams were going. And he decided to join Nelson over on Sapphire. And that turned out to be a very good decision, because and I found this very insulting, because he's not the number one draft pick. Devin Walker's number one draft pick, but the supposed number one draft pick, CT, turns up. And it's, oh my God, people are pleading their case. They start an electoral debate on CT. And he makes that decision to join Ed and Nelson on Sapphire. Obviously, he couldn't go to Emerald. So it was join Ed and Nelson, because obviously Emerald's got their 3, or go with Corey on Ruby with the 2 rookie girls. If you were CT in this position, those were your 2 choices. Would you have done the same, both of you?
I believe so. I mean, Sapphire is really good, and once you get to the final team, it's really good. I don't think he can trust Corey, because we heard him last episode talking about how Corey wants to like take some shots, and he can't trust any of the vets. I think he also didn't like all the rookies on that team. I guess he didn't necessarily think they could work well together, or something to that effect, or he just doesn't feel like they're good competitors at the end of the day. I don't know. Maybe we don't get a ton of CT confessionals, but the way he talks about Amber and Big T in the confessionals, he could be thinking the same thing about the other rookies, except for Emmy. So I think he made the decision that was right for him. Also, I think being on this team, he knows that he can be the puzzle guy. Like, nobody's going to get in his way when it comes down to the puzzle. Nelson won't try to step in. Ed probably won't step in. He's going to let CT do whatever he wants, and CT can really do his thing.
It's a strong guy group, isn't it?
It is. CT says that he's got 2 workhorses on his team. He knows where he's probably lacking a bit is endurance, just because he's older. Like, he's still good, but he's not great.
Yeah, the guy that won the hard final last year is definitely lacking endurance.
There are better people than him from the guy side there. But the more important thing, look, because it seemed like he spent ages deliberating. He was definitely thinking which girls aren't here.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 girl spots filled on Ruby with good but rookies and not amazing. And you've got Casey, Ashley, and Amanda waiting in the wings, who I think are all very, very decent. Tori's not even there yet. They're all very, very decent, all very, very decent finals runners, and that's what CT's going for, I think.
And
that's a good point.
Then we get the K-Dog himself. He turns up and he says, I'm going to go on Corey's team because I need to keep Corey close and keep an eye on him. No, you're going on Corey's team because there are no more boy slots on any of the other teams, and you're stuck on Ruby, Kyle. Oh, I love Kyle. He's so cute. And then the girls start flooding in. We've got Casey. Obviously, she goes straight to Josh. Looks like that alliance is back on. Ashley, she goes to Sapphire. Her reasoning is that she and CT work well together, which we've obviously seen before. Tori goes to Emerald. Her reasoning, not about the boys, it's about Casey. Casey seems to be someone that they all really, really rate. I know we've discussed that we find her, quite wallpapery, but as far as her athletic ability and also her puzzle skills in this game, she is very good.
Well, I think it is also with Devin. She knows Josh is a very social player, and also her
she works well with Emmanuel.
Affection. Her affection person that she wants to share affection with is also on that team, so she wants to be safe with him. So I think it had a mix of everybody that she wanted to be a part of on that team. So yeah.
And we got one more spot for the guys, which is Logan. He doesn't get a choice. He's stuck on Ruby. Nanny arrives, and straight away, she sees the love of her life, Casey, joins that team. So that's our first locked-in team. I'll go through each team together after we've gone through the individuals. Big T arrives. She goes on to Ruby, which I thought was a weird choice because there was still a position there on Sapphire. I know she's close with Priscilla. I know she's close with Kyle, so maybe that's what did it. Amanda arrives. Obviously, she's going to go on to Sapphire because that's where her best friend Ashley is. And I think that was it, wasn't it? I've written Emmy twice.
Yeah,
Amanda was last.
Well, Bettina.
Oh, yes, I put Amanda instead of Bettina. Bettina arrives and she goes to Sapphire because there's nowhere else for her to go, which leaves us with these teams. So we've got Emerald. These all sound like strippers. So we've got Emerald, or as I've put in the running order so that I'm less confused, green. That is Devin, Josh, Emmanuel, Casey, Nanny, and Tori. We've got Sapphire, blue, Ed, CT, Nelson, Amanda, Ashley, Bettina. And we've got Ruby, which is red, which is Kyle, Corey, Logan, Big T, Priscilla, and Emmy. Okay, let's have some breakdowns of what you think of these three teams. Let's start with you, Drew.
Okay, first of all, you just said strippers. I instantly thought of Pokemon. There was a generation.
I saw you post that on Instagram.
Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. I had to do it. I was like, I have to do it before anybody else does it. I have to make the game boxes because that's all I could think about last night. And it was the same generation too. But Ruby was off to a bad start. Let's just be real. Once Corey, they had the team members of the guys that came in late. So they had to go onto his team and it's just not going to gel as well. Also, they have the most rookies, which isn't necessarily like a weak thing, but it's going to be looked at by all the vets like we're going to just pick off that team one by one kind of thing, I feel. Emerald only has one rookie, which is Emmanuel. If he's going to find himself in big trouble if Emerald doesn't win and there's very less rookies in the game, like he's going to be the one that's going to be pinpointed out to be thrown in, I think even before Josh. Because he just has a good social standing in the game. I think Sapphire overall, I would venture to say is the strongest team, despite what happens this episode. I think they are actually a very strong team in general. They just couldn't get it done this episode, but it's all right. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the naming conventions or having everybody wear their color in the deliberations or anything, but it's fine. I mean, I get that they're trying to do a twist, but overall, I think we'll see what happens.
For me, very much Ruby is based on the team itself and the name. It's that stripper that just didn't get the job. Emerald and Sapphire are absolutely making bank, and Ruby just, no, come back in a few months, do a few more dance classes and then we'll see you. George, what do you think of Ruby? Do you love her?
This more like, when you're at school and you're playing any kind of sport and somehow one team is an absolute powerhouse and has got the kid who went through puberty at 13 and already is stacked like Chris Hemsworth, and then the other team is like the slow reading group. I don't know how with like equitable things that one team ended up so imbalanced. And does this just mean everyone rates Nelson as a better competitor than Corey? Because that's where it started to fall into place.
I think it comes down to how you sell your team. And Corey was selling his team to anybody. I think that's what happened. When anybody showed up, he just wanted people on his team and they were finishing earlier. So when Emmy comes along, he wants Emmy on the team. He wants Priscilla on the team. They finished earlier than a lot of the other women. So I think that he just wanted people that he felt he could trust because he's not trusting any of the vets. And I think he just was trying to grab anybody that was finishing earlier. So I think that's where the downfall, where Nelson was maybe a little bit more strategic, saying like, hey, Ed, come to our team. Then when CT was coming, it's like, we got one more spot. Come on now.
Corey came across very desperate in all this. It was odd to see because normally Corey's really confident. He's kind of head honcho in his own mind. But this one, it was very much like he was just resigned to getting the scraps.
Yeah, it's the gamble of like, he clearly didn't make the connection of people will finish different checkpoints at different rates, and he just thought the faster you're in, the better you were.
I also think that he took it on himself that he was the captain and the leader because he finished first and he was the first one at his station. So when people were coming in, he just wanted a team that if they could listen to him coming to his station, I think that's where he was like, cool, we got this thing on lock. But none of the guys were coming to him. They were all going to Josh because of the social aspect. And then CT went to Sapphire. And I think that was like the last Hail Mary, because then he was saddling up with Kyle and Logan, who Logan is injured and Kyle, they don't get along. So
No.
Can I?
On paper, there's no weak links in Sapphire.
Yeah.
She's a great dancer. Great dancer. Now,
Great.
Drew,
the next show we're going to run into the ground. It's going to be the stripper one. Fantastic.
That's my job on this podcast, George. Take a joke, find it funny myself, and then keep telling it until everyone hates it. But I do have one question for you, Drew, and it's a very important question. So we've now got 3 teams. At this point, did you think this could be a Cutthroat style 3-team situation?
At this point, I was kind of getting the hint, but maybe we would like divulge into now new pairs. No, this was definitely going to be teams. They didn't even like try to be subtle in the wording on the board. That was like, hey, you're going to be running in teams now. It was just like, hey, get in a team of 3, get in a team of 6. There's 3 teams. This is what you're going to be doing for the rest of the year time here. Like the board just said that in like a 2-sentence sentence.
Yeah, there were just 2 sentences there, and there are 2 parts to this mission. So part 1 is now done, and here comes part 2. So because these cells are the new teams going forward, the agents now have to run down and smash some cinder blocks, then use the fragments to create a counterweight system to free their diamond and bring it back to their podium. First to finish wins, the other 2 are absolute losers. So there's not really much to discuss on this other than Devin Walker. And
Number 1 draft pick.
Number 1 draft pick, Devin Walker. And his ideas of how to do this. What did we think of this? Everyone was trying to break it up into small bits and one person was putting it in. And he said, no, let's just counterweight it so we can all then break it up and put it
in. Gamed the challenge straight away.
Yeah, and pretty much.
I don't think there's massive else to go in. He calls out in his confessional that he's very good at thinking around corners. Clearly is. Yeah, good work, Devin. Proud of you. Friend of the pod, Devin.
Friend of the pod, Devin. Now, so this means that the Emerald Cell have won and they're safe from elimination and become the agency. Because they're the agency, it now means that Ruby and Sapphire are on the chopping block and they must go into nominations. They must plead their case and the agency will vote. We can't even say power couple anymore, George. Best team. The agency will vote 1, wait for it, woman into the elimination. And back at the house, Kyle jokes that the girls will go crazy tonight, and he means the game. But there's one place they can go crazy, George. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Club night. Yes, the nightclub has been fumigated from COVID cells, and they are back in it this week. So let's talk about this club night, because it was the first time we've seen little cliques form. And by cliques, we mean cells. So Kyle talks about the Emerald Cell being very strong, and they have one weakness and one weakness only. If you say something mean to Josh, he will cry for half an hour. This is a classic Kyle comment, isn't it?
Yes.
Means nothing, quite funny, making fun of Josh.
So, okay, sorry though, is that Sapphire's only weakness, is to toy with Josh and Casey as much as you can? Because they seem to have repaired their issues from earlier. It's the only
it's wind up Josh, get him upset, get him to punch someone.
Yeah, it could be. I just think that might be the only way you could potentially destabilize that team, because they've got Devin and Casey, who are weirdly this season very, very cool, calm, and collected, and will try and keep everyone together. But Josh is the powder keg that might actually get in the way of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a weakness, so to speak. I mean, like you guys have mentioned, I mean, it's the physical strength that they're pretty much lacking in brute strength. So maybe the not trying to get ahead of schedule, but there is like a hall brawl-esque ditch running that could possibly be their weakness kind of thing.
What was that one called when it was Bananas and Tyler versus CT and Adam?
T-Bone.
Yeah. T-Bone. I love that one. It's so good.
And then they had it in free agents, and CT and Zach were on the same team, and everyone was just like, nope, sorry, after you. I'm literally about to die.
And what I think we are beginning to learn from some of Carl's confessionals, he's not happy about being in the Ruby team. And he very much wants to be in the Emerald team, and he's not going to be quiet about it. But someone who seems to be quite happy with their team, Nelly T, the T standing for team, he tells the Sapphire Cell that Devin is running the show. I got to say, Devin Walker 2.0 that we've had since his return last season has been brilliant. This agents thing, and we said it to him as well when we had him on, just suits him down to the ground, this agents theme that they've got.
Yeah, I think it suits him. It suits his mentality. The only thing is that I think with this group of competitors in the game, it's easier for him to really get his point and his theory across and have everybody buy into it, especially when he has Josh on his side. Yeah. So once Josh was hooked in, and then Josh kind of goes off and spreads his wildfire and Devin's plan. I mean, it's pretty much like, I don't know, hook, line, and sinker for Devin on this season.
And what Nelson says is that they're going to come for the strongest girl. And in his opinion, the strongest girl is Ashley. She's the only champ still on there from the girls' side. She's a 2-time champ. Do we agree that she's the strongest girl out of the 6 that are available to be voted in here? So we got Emmy, we got Bettina, we got Priscilla, we got Big T, we got Amanda, and we've got Ashley. I almost feel in a sliding doors moment of that 3-way elimination with Ashley, Amanda, and Nicole on Invasion. If Amanda had won it, I feel like her career would have gone the Ashley way.
I agree. I do think Amanda had like every capability to win Invasion and every capability to win Final Reckoning. I do think if she'd won Final Reckoning, Zach would have taken the money. But Ashley on paper here is someone, it's the same thing we said last week, is Ashley is terrifying in a final, but beatable in elimination. So if you're against her, get her out while you can, which is in elimination. That comment won't age well, but it's still relatively valid.
I think she could be, and it's because of her finals experience, I think. And that's what, she might not have the best elimination record out of everybody in the game, but out of who is able to be picked for this elimination, I think swinging big, not only on Ashley, but for the Sapphire team, who came in second, who has a really strong unit. I think she would be the one to be like a home run hit, that you're really trying to swing for the fences there.
And Corey's now got the Ruby cell together because, as you said, Drew, Corey is the captain of the Ruby team. And, you know, he's trying to boost morale. He wants to bring them together. Emmy's bought in. She's like, yeah, let's work together. Corey says, let's work on our communication. And then Carl does a confessional saying he loves Ruby. He's so glad he's in Ruby. He's all for Team Ruby. Actually, no, he wishes he was on Emerald. Kyle doesn't give a shit at this point. He's kind of like, oh, I'm in the shit team and I don't care anymore. It really felt like he'd just given up this episode.
Yeah. 100%.
It was sad to watch. Normally he's so happy and he's enjoying everything. Going back to Amanda and Ashley, they have a chat about who go in. They both think they're in danger. And then another girl that thinks she's in danger is Priscilla. Her and Tori talk. Priscilla's trying to plead her case, and Tori thinks that, you know, she's great, she likes her, but she does see Priscilla as someone who's a reason to target. And as CT always says, if you got an easy reason to put someone in, do it. No blood on your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this was a telltale sign that Priscilla was going to be thrown into the elimination. I mean, they're not going to throw in Ashley this early, that I thought of. They could be worried. Ashley can be paranoid all she wants, but like they were talking about, nobody's going to take the shot without knowing exactly what the rules are going to be, so that the next time it happens or next time comes up, they can figure out how to like either game the system or make their will better on the whole thing. So I just didn't see it happening.
What about you, George? Were you kind of like, yeah, they're going to put Priscilla in?
I think it was probably Ashley, Priscilla.
What?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So you were saying it Ashley, Priscilla, or...
Yeah. Sorry, guys, forgot to charge my headset. Yeah, but Ashley, Priscilla, or Bettina, who were going to go in. And of that, Priscilla's the one who's taken the shot at the vets and is quite dangerous. So it was also the thing Drew mentioned earlier. She had a nice moment in the episode, instantly terrified for her. So thank you, Freddie, foreshadowing. Yes, I was worried about Priscilla at this point.
And then later that night, Logan dumps Big T. So the next morning, Big T tells Priscilla she's single now. She feels hurt because she actually did like Logan and she's going to miss the cuddles. Priscilla, very supportive friend, tells Big T, look, I've come up with 3 really good points to plead our case. 1, Ruby is a dog shit team and we're less of a threat. 2, none of us have been to a final. 3, and this is more for Priscilla, she's already been in, and Big T says, yes, I'm going to play out the layup card, then I'm going to use heavy threatening on everyone. I quite like their relationship. They've obviously bonded over the season.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I love the friendship. I wish we got more of their friendship throughout the season. It seems like we get these little like moments that we could have gotten earlier on in the season, but they never pop up. They never show up, and they show up at the very last minute, and then we're never going to have them again until next season, possibly.
Which also just signposts who's going in. It was Big T and Priscilla were chatting when Priscilla calls herself a silent assassin, weren't they? That's the only other time
yes.
I think I remember them talking. Yeah.
They were talking the other episode. It was the 4 of them under the bunk bed, Corey, Nelson, Priscilla, Big T as well.
That's true. They've also got absolutely lovely voices.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be my number 1 and 2 draft pick to read me a bedtime story. Not if it was about Oedipus Rex, but about anything else, come at me. Sorry,
I kind of feel like they've got the female voices of George and Levi.
You're putting us on a very high pedestal there, mate.
I'm trying, George. Now, whilst we deliberate that, there's a slight mini deliberation over in the Emerald team over on a little picnic cloth, what are they called? Picnic blanket. And they're having a chat. They're basically discussing who they are going to throw in. So these are the options that get thrown out. Bettina, because she's an anchor, which basically means she's shit and will weigh her team down. So I don't understand why you'd actually try and throw her in if you think that's the situation. The next option was Emmy, because she's strong, but Devon and Emmanuel basically veto that. Devon says we could go for Priscilla. She's the strongest girl in the weakest team, which makes that team even weaker. And then Josh suggests that now the vet alliance is over, let's go for Ashley. And Nanny agrees because she doesn't trust Ashley. But Tori makes a very good point. She says it's a big shot to take, and if we're taking the shot, we can't miss. What do we think of this mini deliberation? I thought it was nice. They didn't all agree on everything, but there was no talking over each other. There was no yelling. It was just a nice, good conversation.
Yeah, everybody was rational. It was interesting that everybody could just throw out a name and they could just talk it out, see where everybody's head's at. Yeah, I don't know. This is the point where I'm like kind of over Tori because she just doesn't want to do any big moves. She doesn't want to take shots. She doesn't want to put her game in jeopardy, even though she's on a team, a very strong team. She just wants to I don't know. She just wants to do like softball lobs at this point, and she always wants to do it unless she has to go in and get her own skull, and then she wants a softball lob, and then she like fouls out because of that. I mean, I don't know. I really wanted to see them take a shot, and everybody seemed to be on board until Tori was like, no, please no.
Don't get me in trouble with Ashley. She'll shout.
The bit I did like here is how Emmanuel got Emmy out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was being mean about it. He was saying, originally I was like, you backstabbing bastard. I was like, no, I see what you're doing. We've said this a lot, but he does just really get this game very, very quickly. I'm a really big fan of him as a rookie, actually.
He has a
Less so-
wonderful moustache as well.
Wish I could wear a moustache.
Yeah, he does.
Now, they've had their mini deliberation, but it's now time for the real thing. It's time for nominations. And nomination starts with a very poignant moment, a very serious moment, because Tori would like to address his team. And by Tori, which I unfortunately wrote on the running order, I mean Corey. And the main thing that he would like to address is Kyle's attitude. Because if you are a team, as George knows as a rugby player, you must all wear the same color shirt. And Kyle is not wearing red. I also want to point out Emmy was not wearing red, but no one said anything about that. Kyle is wearing a green top. And Kyle jokes and he says that he was visualizing himself as a winner and that's why he picked his outfit. Classic Kyle. And then he basically does a confessional saying, oh, I'm Corey, I'm so serious. And Corey can't take a joke. I do think Corey's got a bit boring over the last few seasons. He used to be really fun and shag people. And now he just takes things a bit too seriously.
I think the context of the game now. I mean, he is a captain. He is trying to win. He doesn't feel like he can trust anybody. So he's not like, I don't think he's in the feeling like I can have fun. He's just got to have pressure. He has to have his foot on the gas and just hopefully he can make it through this because he's already seen an elimination. He doesn't seem to be anybody's favorite except Nelson's. So, yeah, I mean, I was just happy that this wasn't like the challenge making them wear their colored team colors because I hated when they said that, oh, yeah, we were supposed to like dress as spies and everybody just wore a turtleneck. And it was like, that's fun. Yeah, that's great, MTV. That's what we want the challengers to worry about, wearing a turtleneck in a confessional rather than actually playing the game.
I think they had one person had a turtleneck, so they just passed it round. Everyone gets to go. Just quick thing, you mentioned Corey's a captain. Is he a captain or is he just a captain in his own mind?
I mean, maybe both.
There was no official rule that like you're captain if you finish first. Did I miss that?
No. He's self-appointed himself captain here. Like that's what I think Drew's right with that. He's like, oh, I'll take the leadership role because Kyle's not going to be a leader. He's going to sit back and be snarky. Logan can't speak English and has got one knee left. Not what I would look for in a captain. I'd actually vote for Priscilla to be captain if I was on this team. I think she'd be the best. But
Priscilla or Big T?
Actually, Big T would be a captain.
Now, Devin loves a bit of nomination shithousery. So he says, we haven't decided who's going in, so plead your case. And if you don't, well, it could be you. Fight with each other. It's time to create some chaos. So each of the girls gets to go. So what I'll do, I'll go through what each of the girls says, and then we'll kind of break down this nomination. So Priscilla starts. She says exactly what she told Big T she was going to say. Sapphire's a bigger threat than Ruby. She's not been to a final and she's already been in the lair. Amanda obviously takes this I've not been to a final comment to be about her. And she says, look, I've won finals, but I've had very strong partners like CT, like Hunter B. And also I've been on good teams in finals, which was obviously her Team America if you don't include Paulie. And then Big T says Ashley's like a fine wine. She matures with age. So she's going to get better, which means she's going to be even better now. And she's already won 2. And Big T basically says, I don't want to go down tonight. And Kyle just says, when can we schedule you in? Which I thought was classic sarcasm of Kyle / he doesn't give a shit anymore. He hates being on the Ruby team.
He's really out at this point, isn't he?
Yeah. Amanda says she's got a lot on the line this season as she's a single mum. And again, we get more confessionals about talking about her being a nurse in the pandemic, which there was a lot of talk of this. And I wonder if this is going to come back and be a storyline going forward. Bettina says that a lot of people considered her weak. She feels like she proved herself last week. She doesn't feel like she's the weakest person. She's just a small town girl. And Emmy, in true Emmy fashion, has written a speech. Now, what I was hoping for was that Emmy had written it as a rap. Unfortunately, it was just a general speech, just about her being loyal, not a sheep, a loyal wolf, and basically doesn't backstab someone, especially not her best friend of 3 days, Burner. Now, CT says, oh, I love Emmy. She's honest. She wears her heart on her sleeve. And then CGI TJ pops up on screen, tells the agency that they must now pick one player to compromise, and they vote for Priscilla. She takes it well. She very much admires the picture that's on screen of her. And the big question is, well, she's been voted in. Who picks the opponent? This was a very after you, polite deliberation, wasn't it?
Yes, it was not messy. It was not people throwing anybody under the bus. They all just took their time, passing the talking stick back and forth between everybody. They were taking their time. Everybody got their own thoughts out. It was but this is the problem with the deliberation when it's not messy. I mean, even if it is messy, I feel like everybody just has their thoughts already done. We could have already gotten to the vote. I like that people are talking about it, but Emerald is coming in already knowing what they are wanting to send into the elimination and who they want to send into the elimination. They could start out every single deliberation speech going like, we don't know, our minds aren't made up, but they don't like talk it out or anything. They just all vote. Like once TJ pops up and he's like, all right, vote now. They just vote.
Yes, Mr. TJ.
The only deliberation I can see being really interesting at the moment is when Emerald is on the chopping block. Well, Guys' Day I think will be different, but Emerald being on the chopping block for a Girls' Day will be hilarious because it will be Tori, Casey, and Nanny. And Tori will try and get Nanny thrown in. Casey, no one will mention, but then Casey will go on to Tori. Tori will then lose her mind, and that could be quite funny.
Yeah, that would be.
You know what could be quite a fun one? It's not going to happen because they're dog shit, but if Ruby won on a Guys' Day, and just Kyle being an absolute dick towards like CT and winding up Devon and being like, oh, I might put you in, especially you, CT, who puts me in every season, even though we're always in an alliance. But yeah, do you agree, George? This was very much no. It's the talking stick, as Drew said. I like that one. This deliberation. Here is the talking stick, George.
I haven't got mass amounts to say of this one yet, except we'll discuss this later. I feel a bit cheated because deliberations got good when it was still pairs, and then in the Vet Alliance was over, and I only got one of those, and I feel a bit cheated by that. Thanks, MTV. But again, as they get down to lower numbers, this will get way more interesting. Let's see what happens.
I just like that's the whole point of the season. That's the new talking point of the season is like once the vet truce is over, this is going to get interesting. Now this is happening. It's like once the numbers start getting lower, then it'll start getting interesting. It's like very much like peaks and valleys, and there's been a lot more valleys than peaks, it seems, from the season.
We're such hopeful idiots as challenge fans, aren't we? It will get better.
Once we get to the final, this will get interesting, guys.
Once we get to the reunion.
Once season 38 starts, this will get interesting.
Once All Stars starts.
These are alarming things for us to say. We are big challenge fans. Speaking of alarms,
you still like this season, today. Yeah, nice.
Speaking of alarms, the alarm goes off and the agents head to the lair where TJ explains exactly how Priscilla is going to find out her opponent. So Priscilla can pick any female from either the Ruby cell or the Sapphire cell to go against, which gives massive power to the compromised agents. I thought it was interesting that she can pick from either of the two teams. I thought it was just going to be who do you want from the other team that's compromised. Was that a bit of a shock for everyone?
Not really. I think it's definitely like they just wanted to have it open for them to be able to pick anybody. But even then, if she's thinking that she can't go to or switch teams or anything, why would she choose from her own cell? Almost is my thought process, because we don't know what the choice is afterwards, if they will even have a choice. So it's just my thought process was she wouldn't choose anybody from Ruby. First of all, she won't pick Emmy, who already won 2 eliminations so far this season, and she won't pick Big T because she's friends with her. So that only leaves the 3 women on the Sapphire team.
Also, why would you weaken your own team, George?
Kyle would.
Oh, yes, fair point.
If Kyle's in the nation, he'd be like, fuck it, Corey, I hate my team. We're going to self-destruct. I want to go home early. I want to see my wife. Bye. And also, there is the only way you would ever pick your own team is if it's getting near the final and you 100% know you can only beat the person on your team. That's the one scenario I can see this happening. But obviously too early for that to happen now.
Here's the other option as well. Imagine if we get like 6 weeks in and one team's been fully wiped out, then actually you can't pick from the agency. You have to pick someone from your team. So maybe that's why they threw it in at the beginning, in case the first 6 eliminations all came from the same team.
That's a good point.
I sometimes make them. Not much, but sometimes I make a good point.
Everything you said this season has aged really well, whereas I have been wrong a lot. It's like the inverse of last season.
Yeah, our roles are very much reversed, although the only thing that hasn't changed, George, is the disgusting stuff that you say about Nanny every single week. Priscilla, a lot of respect for her. She's said for the last few weeks, if I've got a problem with someone or if I want to take someone out, I'm going to take someone out. And she sticks to her word. She picks Ashley. She wants to end the beef with her. But I think what's nice is she says, look, I respect her. I want to shoot big. And Ashley's been known to be quite volatile when she's voted into elimination, but she takes this one really well. She says she respects Priscilla. She's ready to get an elimination win. She even jokes about it. And she says in a confessional, actually, that she's glad it's her down there as opposed to Amanda, because Amanda's got a child at home. She's a single mum. She worked during the pandemic as a nurse. She cares for an elderly relative, which we've heard, again, as I said, many, many, many times during this episode. Why do you think they're really pushing this Amanda thing? I mean, it's true, and, you know, fair play to her, but like episode 10, they suddenly won't stop talking about it.
Maybe Amanda is a very integral part going forward. Maybe she makes it to a finals and they're really buttering her up to the audience is what I can think of. I know that in the aftermath, Priscilla had a very long talk with Amanda and said that she would never pick Amanda if she would be sent down into the, when she knew that she was going down to the elimination. So ultimately, she's not going to pick anybody from the Ruby team. She's not going to pick Bettina because they're best friends. So it came down to Amanda or Ashley. So they had a very long talk and she knew, I'm sure Amanda would have said to Ashley, hey, you're going to be sent down. And Ashley was just getting her brain ready to like, all right, I got to get into the mental state. I got to get focused to go into an elimination. I have to win this. I haven't won since season 34. So I really got to put my all into it. So I'm sure that Priscilla had the speech ready. Ashley knew it was coming, kind of thing. But I do think that something's going to happen with Amanda, whether she makes it to a finals, whether she wins it, something to that effect. But to me, because she didn't go down to the elimination this episode, I feel like she's going to make it far into the season.
And as well, as we know, because she was a nurse during the pandemic, a win for Amanda is a loss for COVID.
That's true.
The more COVID loses, the better. The nice, to steal your Jake Edgitt hat, Levi.
There you go.
Oh, cheers, buddy. Great production value here.
Have you got the fez? You had a fez.
That's what I was looking around for. No idea where that's gone. I think I've
Put the plant on your head.
It's the complex personality stuff that you get in Edgic is like what season winners get throughout the time. So I think Drew's completely right. This episode was Amanda was weirdly quiet in the first half of this season. She had like quite a lot of screen time in the first couple of episodes and then died off, and she had 2 episodes where she wasn't even featured. This will be the bit now where I think it really picks up.
Well, the thing is, Kyle obviously was with Amanda and they did nothing as a pair, and also she was in the relationship with Fessy, but then Fessy got, kicked out of the game. So yeah, well, we talked about Amanda, but this is all about Priscilla versus Ashley. So the elimination is set. So let's head down to TJ to find out what elimination they'll be playing. So seek and destroy. So this is how it works. There's 8 colored tires, and they are buried under the sand. You've got to dig them up one by one, put them on the pole. Once you've got all 8 on the pole, you race over to the radio tower where a sequence of lights will flash, which essentially is the key to tell you the order to put your tires in. Then you have to take all your tires off. You've got to put them in the right order. First agent to do wins, stays in the game. The loser will be deactivated. Let's talk about this elimination. What does everyone think?
Such an unnecessary name. seek and destroy for playing build a sandcastle is I am tired of this shit.
But you're destroying the sandcastle. You're not building it.
Missed the fact that I said tired. But yeah, just like
sorry.
It's just yeah. Anyway, all right. Elimination, good mix of like endurance, memorization. It's probably one which is a better challenge for a competitor. So I better like elimination test for the competitor rather than us as viewers, though. To be fair, and Ashley got a win, which was nice.
Oh, yeah, spoilers! Spoilers! We haven't got there yet, George.
Oh, sorry. I just have nothing to say about this elimination.
Yeah, my biggest gripe about this elimination, besides everybody's help to one the competitor, which we already know who that is the name, is Seek and Destroy. This is like ridiculous. If anything, if this was a different season, it would have been like a tire pun, like tired out, running on empty, or something like that. Like
War of the Worlds 1 having that first elimination where they've got tires and it's so called Arms Are Getting Tired. I was like, TJ, yes. That's what I want. I want pun, not Seek and Destroy.
It's a shame that it wasn't like the third time they'd gone against each other in elimination. It had been, 1-1. They could have called it the rubber match. No? Okay, let's carry on.
Also, how did they not find different tires? Like, did they cut it in half and it was like, this is your half, this is your half, and once you find 8 tires, that's it? Like, that's what I was wondering about, because back in Total Madness, they had like flower pots and they could go all around the whole thing looking for different puzzle pieces, where this one was just like, Ashley got 8 tires and that was just enough. That was the perfect amount. She had the right colors, she had the right amount, and it was over. So
that would have made this elimination much better, actually. If it was, I'm convinced they split the ring in half. There's no other way of explaining it. But if they'd done it, is it like dig up any tires? If you dug up one color one already, when you dig up the second, it's like, shit, do you bury it or do you just throw it out the ring and move on? That would have made this way more interesting, actually. No, actually, it would have made it interesting because it wasn't very interesting originally.
Do you know what was interesting? Now, I know obviously they have a friendship and everything, but we're in a team game now. Bettina, who is on one of the blue teams, what do we call it, Sapphire, with Ashley, was very, very vocal in her cheering for Priscilla. Now, I understand you're friends, you want to stay in the game, but you don't know if there's any twist for the winner. So ultimately, this is your team, and you are cheering against your teammate. Do you think anything's going to come of this, or do you think no one cares about Priscilla? Not Priscilla, Bettina. I'm very tired today.
I don't think anybody's worried about Bettina. Even though she's won an elimination, I don't think anybody's like worried about her. She knows she's going back into an elimination at some point. Everybody knows that. So I think she's just like, I'm going to just cheer for my friend. And it didn't seem like Priscilla had a lot of people cheering for her. Even on the aftermath, Big T was saying how she was conflicted because she wanted to see Ashley get the win after not having a win for so long. But we see her spending most of her time with Priscilla and Logan, and she's more like wanting. It's not like she's inclined to root for Priscilla more than Ashley, and that could be like a thing of like, oh well, Ashley's a vet, we're a vet, we're supposed to be cool with the vets, even though Big T knows she's gonna be thrown in at some point. But yeah,
and there was a nice moment, and when I say nice moment, it was a nice moment for Ashley, which was the rest of the podium, as I like to call them. Chanting out the tire colors for her and chanting out the keys for her. I think there was even a moment where she got it wrong and CT was like, no, it's yellow next, which I think for Ashley, who I think she put on Instagram recently about how, these people are her friends outside the game, they come into the game and they're very different and they don't seem to like her. I think her big thing about this is she loves playing the game, but also she really loves the people that she plays it with, and she finds it hard that they all change in the game. So it was a big kind of they all love me moment for her.
Yeah. It's a nice way of looking at it. Do you also think that they were helping her because she was so far ahead? I think she would have won anyway without being helped, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, she had 5 tires. Well, she had 8 tires to Priscilla's 5. It seemed like Priscilla was gassing out a little bit. She didn't have the right strategy. But yeah, I think that they were just like maybe wanting to just be like, we're done with this. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think the Sapphire team wants Ashley back regardless anyways.
Yeah.
So
That's blue, isn't it?
Yes.
yes.
It's green.
The stripper name.
Ruby is hot pink, apparently, which is now what I will be calling them for the rest of the season. Although saying the hot pink team sounds really weird. Let's go.
The one thing that actually I forgot to mention, I was going to mention ages before, literally means nothing to any point in this show, but they got the barbers in for the lads before this episode. They've all got nice, fresh trims. So, as far as this elimination goes, did they both impress you? Did you feel like actually Priscilla didn't do that great? Did you feel like Ashley did amazing? For me, I felt good job, both girls. Looked quite tough, looked quite tiring, and they both did a really good job. What about yourselves? What do you think? Go on.
I like both. I like both competitors. They did a really good job. I think, again, Ashley had a way better strategy than Priscilla at this point. I think, again, Ashley would have won either way, but I still think that I would have liked to seen Ashley win by herself without any help, because I think that would have been a lot more, I don't know. It's just me. A win is a win though. But to me, it's like, if I was down there, I would want to win just like straight up instead of like being excited that everybody is like yelling colors at me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. Like Ed in the second episode when Devon tells him it's the map of the world. I know. Love that bit. So funny.
That's literally one of my favorite moments of the season.
Yeah. It's like, Devon, someone else with an average IQ. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to hate people. I'm with Drew. They both did all right in the elimination. I'm pretty convinced that Ashley would have won anyway. Just to see,
she was like 2 tires ahead.
Yeah, but she used her legs in a more efficient and more energy conserving way, whereas Priscilla was really like digging with her legs. It wasn't a terrible strategy, better than just like going with your arms unless you're Gabbo. But Ashley used her like her entire body as like a drill powered by her legs. So yeah, good body control. Well played, Ashley.
There's so much extra sand on top of the tires that are already buried underneath more sand. So when Priscilla was trying to kick off the top layer, it took longer to move all that, where Ashley just bulldozes it with her body to knock off the sand, and then she's able to dig right when she needs to. So I think that's where it really got the time saver or time waster was in both strategies.
So it is a win for Ashley. And unfortunately, that ends Priscilla's time on the challenge. And TJ said what I was hoping he would say, which was, I'm positive we'll see you in the future. What did we think of Priscilla's rookie season?
Great.
Yeah, really. By numbers, it's great alone. Actually, did she win a daily challenge? Maybe she did.
No, she was with Nelson. Of course she didn't.
Yeah, she was with Nelson.
In all fairness, CT probably couldn't win a daily challenge with Nelson. Yeah, what CT not win another daily challenge for the rest of the season now?
Shit, Nelson's got a 1 in 3 chance now.
Yeah, she does. He does. He has his best odds yet ever.
Still not happening. I thought it was great. Very, very, because Levi, you had a feeling about her from the start. And then I was like, yeah, she's all right, but made it. And then one episode, massive uptick, and then that trajectory kind of continued. Drew, did you like her at the beginning of the season, or was it when she broke up? Well, was it when she threw in does that change her for you?
Oh no, I knew Priscilla before she came on to do the challenge. I watched her Love Island season while it was happening. I loved her.
Ironically,
Love
more
Island
than
season.
the Brits did. We haven't ever seen Love Island.
But she was great. And then when she was announced, I was like, oh hell yes, because Love Island UK contestants have done so well on the challenge. They also are very personable. They seem to understand the game right away. And despite it being a romantic show that's all about feelings and banta and all that good stuff,
I love how you say banter. Please say it again.
Banter. But the them coming on to do an actual like competition show, like the Love Island contestants, they just come in and they're just ready to go. They're just like, yeah, I totally understand the game. I know the strategy. Let's get this going. And I'm so happy that she was on. I loved her.
100% bring her back.
I just think she's very, very intelligent, but she does that thing that where she sits back, she takes it all in, she looks at the moves that she needs to make, and then she makes them at the right time. And I think that's what I've really liked about her this season. Unfortunately, that's the end of her time. But the big question is, what happens next with Ashley? Well, there's only one man who can tell us. So let's head back to the lair and find out from TJ exactly what Ashley's options are. So these were the options. You're right there, George. You seem to be giggling. Obviously, Ashley had the choice that she could go back to her team. She also had the chance to switch to the other losing team, which I thought was the obvious. But then Mr. TJ throws in the ultimate curveball. You can infiltrate a spot on the winning team. Now, I assume that means you take a spot and you decide who loses their spot. This is, what do we think of this twist? This has changed the game. Big time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was not expecting that. I thought normally the agency, you're not going to touch anybody in the agency, but this is very nice because just thinking about this, if you're on the Ruby team, which we're going to get a peek into Kyle's gameplay, but if you're on the Ruby team, you really hate your team. You could just be like, oh, the winning team this episode was really good. And they have all my friends on there. I want to get in good with them. So this means like you're never safe. You're just going to have to always be on your toes that somebody could take your spot.
And it also is going to lead to people potentially fighting to go into elimination again, which is, I hope with the people, if you vote someone down, but also you don't get to pick your opponent, it should be more interesting than with the gold skull, because I hope they use it for good matchups. Like Kyle might as well throw himself into elimination, right?
Oh yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
So even if
because he gets to pick who he goes against as well.
Yeah, exactly. And there's going to be a point where the guy side is pretty damn stacked. So we actually should get some really good elimination matchups. I did forget the last time we had Kyle in a call-out elimination, we got Kyle versus Theo.
Yeah. One thing is that if you're Kyle, who do you go for, especially if Emerald is safe again? Because I think he would want to go up against Josh because he's beaten Josh in elimination before. If Emerald's off base and you can't touch him, who would you go for in that scenario?
I think Kyle could beat Logan.
Oh, especially if he's injured.
Now that he's injured. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go for Logan, you take out your own team member, then you give him a big fuck you, and then you piss off over to Emerald.
Oh my god, that is gutting the red team in one move.
But you know what that is? That is classic K-Dog.
That would be absolutely classic Carl. I mean, if you're going to pick...
If I was to write my fantasy series again with that option, that would be what Carl would do, and the comments would be like, that's such a Carl thing to do.
If you're thinking of the people to pick, though, right, I reckon Logan's probably actually the easiest one to take out at the moment. He's a rookie and he's injured. You could probably beat him. Then it would be Josh, and then Kyle, and then Devin, probably, unless it's mental. And then you just get into like, oh my god, I don't want to go against any of these people kind of levels.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe Corey versus Kyle in something physical would actually be very interesting.
I don't think so. I think Corey would absolutely demolish Kyle.
Yeah.
He wants to. He wants to put his hands on Kyle.
True.
To be fair. And he looks hulked out.
Do you know what I can see happening? Is Kyle throws himself into elimination, wins, gets himself on the Emerald team. He's there all the way till the last episode before the final. Then CT wins elimination, takes Kyle's spot, because every season it's tradition. CT has to do Kyle over, even though they're in a friendship and an alliance. And then Kyle ends up back on the Ruby team and ends up in a final. And it's just him, Corey, and Big T.
There we go.
Casey is completely fine this season now.
100%.
She is. I don't want this to happen, but I can't see a scenario she goes into elimination now.
I mean, the same thing with CT. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you're Ed, who pulls a Priscilla and picks him to go down with him because he wants to go up against the best. He wants to see if he can beat the best. I don't see CT being the house vote because then he gets to pick whoever he wants, and nobody wants the other end of that. So this really plays into, I guess, Casey and CT's hands. I mean, maybe Nelson's hands too. I don't know if anybody wants to go up against him. He has a great elimination record as well. So
the only good thing is if your house vote, you see what the elimination is.
Yeah,
there's things I'd love to go against Nelson is mainly anything other than something physical or giving myself a nickname. I don't want to go against Nelson anything physical. He would break every bone in my body. But
if you're someone who's worried about going in and you think there's a chance you can go in, you are right though. It is better to be voted in than to be picked to go in.
Yeah, so I think Josh, Logan, and Kyle are going to be on edge for a lot of the rest of this season.
Not Devin. People
Devin's
think they
weird.
can beat Devin in elimination.
They can, but Devin's a bit weirder because he's got I think he'll win a lot, to be fair. I think he'll be safe quite often.
He's on the Emerald team.
But then he can get swapped out, actually, can't he?
Yeah.
I don't think Devin has a lot to worry about, though. I mean, he is running the game, but I also think that like he's not a threat. Nobody sees him as a real threat when it comes down to the finals. He just chugs beers and can do puzzles really quickly. But other than that, if you're gonna, I think a lot of people think that they can outrun him, they can outmuscle him. They're not really necessarily worried too much about him. And he has he has such a good social game. I don't think he's worried about it.
Yeah, the only thing the thing where this is going to get very interesting is if you've still got like Devin, Josh, CT, and someone else very good right at the end. Devin and Josh have both said their only chances of winning a final is going against each other, right? I can see Devin or using Josh to throw CT in.
I can see that.
And giving him a very, very small group of people to call out. Because if it's a pure speed-based elimination, and you call out Corey, you're screwed. Ed, I'd throw Ed against CT in a puzzle. That'd be interesting. And then if Nelson's still there, something physical, it would be great. Actually, we could get some decent matchups at the back end of this season. Another challenge. This will get good when.
But here's the question. Let's say you're CT. And somehow, based on eliminations,
I have hair again, and I'm handsome.
Somehow, based on eliminations and like people picking teams, we're coming towards near the final, and CT is on a team, and it's him. Let's say Josh, Bettina, and Big T, and they're looking at the numbers, and they're like, "We think there's one more guy's elimination left," and then there's a team over on the other side, which is Devin, Nelson, Emmanuel, Casey, Tori, and another strong girl, Nanny. No, you wouldn't have said that, George. And Nanny. Does CT go to the agency? Do you know what? Throw me in. I'm going to come on your team.
Yeah.
Potentially. There's a lot of ways this could work. And are we definitely sure that if you infiltrate, you pick someone to swap out for you?
They wouldn't just give an extra person to someone.
Yeah.
So it must be.
Yeah, it sounds like that. I think you have to swap, and then that person is just ipso facto on the other team that you came from.
Kind of like with the infiltrating couples.
That's going to be very interesting because you could literally put someone on like a shit show of a team with like no one else left. And that's how you saddle good competitors to be in terrible situations here, actually. Oh my God, there's so many ways this could play out.
You can start cherry picking and creating teams that you want to go against in the final. If you're good enough in all the dailies, you can start doing that. I've also just noticed, George, you're wearing a little bit of sapphire. I've got the old ruby pink on, and there's some emerald on your top there, Drew. So we didn't plan this, but we've come very well prepared. And you know who was very well prepared was Millionaire Mitchell, because she knew what she wanted. And the first thing she wanted was to say, I'm not going with Kyle on the Ruby team. And it was then up to her whether she stays with her current team, the Sapphire team, or she goes with the Emerald winners. And she decided to stay with Sapphire because she wanted to stay with her friend Amanda, who is a single mum who worked as a nurse during the pandemic, because they had to tell us that again. What do you think of that decision? Obviously, she went with her heart, but also it's a strong team. She's not like going back to a weak team or anything.
I think
exactly.
I think Sapphire is arguably the strongest.
She's beautiful.
So-
Yeah, and also,
I do like her.
Also, I don't think she wants to rock the boat this early.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take somebody from Emerald's team, because she's definitely not going into Ruby's. So if you take somebody from Emerald,
Sounds so
swap
weird.
them out, it's not like whoever gets swapped out for Ashley is going on a bad team. It's not like Priscilla won and is swapping to the Emerald team and then being put on the Ruby team. It's not like it's a bad situation. Like if she swapped with Tori is still in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
But I just think she's like, I'm cool with it. I'm with CT. I'm with Amanda. I don't want to get thrown in again. And possibly if I shake things up and then my Emerald team loses, then everybody's looking at her to possibly be sent in again. But again, I don't think that's the case. But
Well,
How
the
has
game...
Ruby ended up this shit? It's so bad.
It's Corey's fault. But the game has now well and truly changed. And that ends this episode of the challenge. What did we think of this episode? It was a restart, wasn't it? What do we think of it, guys?
It's almost like getting 2 seasons in one.
And the first season was shit.
I mean, back in the day, seasons were like 10 episodes, but these are hour-and-a-half long episodes now, or hour if without commercials. I don't know how I feel. I really don't know. I thought maybe this conversation would help me feel better about everything that's going on, but it's like
we've made you feel worse. I'm sorry, Drew.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Drew. We've enjoyed having you.
But it's just like we had 9 episodes where we were like, we just want to see something spicy happen. We get a spicy episode, and then we have to quickly go to a different format change and get started settling into something new. And it's just like, I don't even know if I want to get into something new. I almost think that they maybe should have flipped. Maybe they should have started out with 3 teams and then whittled down to pairs and see where that would have went with the game and twist it up a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this team aspect, because yes, we can have the players we can have more players protected on the season in a given episode. But if Emerald keeps winning, only one rookie gets saved every episode, and Ruby seems like they're going to lose every time. So it's just like, are we just going to cherry pick and throw them into it and keep on throwing the rookies because there's so many rookies on the other 2 teams, whereas we only have 1 on Emerald? And if they keep winning, what is the game going to look like now, depending on how people are going to be thinking? I mean, I guess if they're thinking we're going to run the finals in teams, we got to throw Big T in there. We got to throw in the players that we want to get off our team to hopefully have a better team. I don't know.
Do you think this was always the plan? Do you think that when the producers sat down and planned out this season, they said, okay, episode 10, we're switching it up, we're moving into 3 teams? Or do you think as this was filming, they went, this isn't really going that well, it's not going to come out that entertaining, what can we do to change it up? Now, obviously, we had the Cutthroat puzzle, we had the Cutthroat scratch, so they would have had to get that sorted, and I don't know how quickly you can get that sorted out. I know we're in Croatia. Do you think this was planned?
I 100% think this was planned. I think the challenge is so rigid that whenever it does anything, it's just like full steam ahead. We have this planned, we can't go deviating. I don't think there's ever been a point where I think that, oh, they're coming up with this on the spot. I always think that no matter what, they have a set plan, they have a set design. And even if I think they would have done in Total Madness after Jay got sent in twice in a row, they would have implemented something to be like, you can't throw in somebody 3 times. They just kept on being like, please don't send in Jay. You might lose your skull spot. It's only the 4th episode. Oh my gosh. Like, that's all they kept on doing.
They've gamed the damn thing already.
Yeah, they're like, oh, please no.
I agree, but also for the thing I said earlier, I'm convinced before season 40, they want a load of fresh new champs. And coupled with the fact that you only got 3 champs in total on this season, now down to 2, you're probably going to end up with at least
4
new champs this season, maybe.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's my kind of thought there. So yes, I do think this was planned. I just
and then
wish we'd got more of last week's episode. If it had 3 weeks of the rookie bloodbath, 3 weeks of vets going against each other, and now this, I'd be very, this would be an all-time great season. But
you could do that as well, because then it's 15 and it's teams of 5, 5, and 5.
Oh yeah. And then you just do
Nice.
the extra elimination early, right?
Yeah.
You get rid of whichever gender's got the extra one first.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You know me, George. I was getting a bit fed up of this season, and it's changed things up. It's added a little bit of peri salt on there to season it up. I think the thing for me, and I think Drew, you mentioned it earlier, was a fucking boring deliberation. But to say that was the worst bit of the episode for me says that it was a very good episode, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it was bad. I think it was just fine. Like it's just wrapping your head around more. Yeah, it's just doing more. Like we have to get settled into more. Now we got to get into the 3-team format. What is the new strategy? What is the season going to look like now? After we just went through 9 episodes, now we have to get through another 9 or 10 as we're heading on to the finals. It's like, well, what are we going to do now? What's the new strategy? Are they going to game it again? Please don't game it. Please
don't forget those double reunion episodes, Drew. Everyone's favorite.
No, that makes season 21 episodes.
I like the reunions, and I'm now excited for the rest of this season. I just really hope we get T-Bone next episode when there's still loads of big people to go through it.
Okay, and here's the final question, which is, who impressed you in this episode? Who was the MVP of the episode?
Nelson for coming close to winning a daily. Who's the actual MVP of this episode? Priscilla had a good showing.
Yeah. She had a good
Should
season.
we all nominate one and then vote on it?
Definitely one. Okay, we can do that.
So you've gone for Priscilla. Drew?
I want to say I actually want to give it to Nelson because he was able to actually drum up the team that I think he wanted overall. Like, I know they wanted Casey, but I mean, he was able to sell his team, and Corey took all the players that Nelson didn't want. So I think he did a great job for the long run, especially when we get to that ditch running. I think Nelson has a stacked team there.
Yeah. Is this
nobody wants to go up against him?
Is this Corey finally paying back Nelson for total madness for going into Horrible for him? Look, I'll get all the trash. You have all the good people. I'm convinced as well they've got a deal at the end. They share money.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So I do think like that's why they went separate teams. I don't think
Nelson was frustrated about the $500 gift card. They're splitting money at the end.
Yeah.
That's because that's what he was expecting from Corey after Total Madness, and then Corey just can't walk in snow. My nomination, I'm split between 2 of the rookies. Split between...
Sorry, Ben, can I change mine for Ashley then? Because she also deserves to be in the conversation here.
Okay, I'm now split between 3 of the rookies. So mine would have been, and simply for specific moves, Emmanuel, for the way that he managed to stop them from even thinking about sending Emmy in. Thought that was good. Very good. Ed, for doing that move of, I'm going to wait and see before I pick my team. And then the third one is Priscilla, because I think she had a great showing, a lot of really good content about her personally, also game-wise. She didn't shy away from going against a big player, and she didn't look terrible in defeat. So, because I think she deserves to be in the talk between the 3 of us, and you've thrown her back in the bin, yes, I'm going to put Priscilla back in the group. So, Priscilla, Priscilla, I'm so tired. Priscilla, Ashley, or Nelson. So you sticking with Nelson, or you want to change your vote there, Drew?
I mean, if we're gonna vote, I think I would have to give it to. I think rookie of the season has to go to Priscilla, but I think for this specific episode, I would give it to Ashley.
Yeah,
you'd stick her above like Emmanuel and Emmy for rookie of the season.
Well, I'll be honest.
32 more episodes to go.
I know, right? Emmanuel is doing fine. I mean, I understand where he's like trying to like help out Emmy and stuff. I just don't think he's done a whole lot in the game. I think he's a very strong competitor. I want to see him more. He's just not being featured well in a lot of these episodes. And Emmy's good. I think if she goes in to another elimination and wins, she's going to be very, very well off. I don't think there's any, if she goes in and wins another elimination, she could make it to a finals. I just don't think she can win. But we'll see how that all plays out.
I like that.
I mean,
Emmy in a final.
Well, and honestly, they're going to probably lean if she's going in, and they're really playing her up with CT. So if she's going to go in there into another elimination, which she's going to, she has to. She's a rookie. I feel like they're going to give her something physical, and she's going to be able to win against anybody that's left. Unless it's Casey, but they're not going to throw Casey in. We've already established that.
Yeah.
So. Oh, if Emmy calls out Casey, that's Rookie of the Year behavior. That is absolutely like, screw it. I'm going for the biggest one here. Bring it on. That would actually be great. Casey would destroy her.
I'm going to stick with my Priscilla vote, which means, George, you're breaking the tie. Do you go for the person that you originally voted for MVP of the episode, Priscilla, or do you go for your second choice, Ashley?
Ashley deserves MVP of the episode.
Ashley receives MVP of the episode.
But Priscilla is in pole position for Rookie of the Season for me.
It's interesting. So that's 2 votes for Rookie of the Season.
Well, I agree with Drew. Emmanuel's not had a moment. He's had lots of little things like, oh, he's come top 3 in most dailies. Oh, he's shown that he understands the game. He can move his hips like they're disconnected from his body. Weird, but quite cool. Weird.
Eats shreddies off his head.
Eats shreddies off his head like Rafiki. Weird vampire chat. Lots of little things, but there's nothing that's going to ever stand out or even get close to a top 10 moments of the season conversation. And I think to be Rookie of the Season, you need one of those.
But here's the question.
Has that moment right now.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is, if let's say one of the rookies wins, then obviously that changes that conversation.
I think if a rookie wins, they kind of automatically should be Rookie of the Year, unless they do something monumental. I'm not saying Joss was Rookie of the Year, but that fight with Derek massively accelerates him up the rankings of what rookies were doing that season. It's got to be huge.
Yeah,
you know what?
I would agree. If a rookie can jump up and get that win, I'll gladly give him Rookie of the Year. But right now, Priscilla was the one that was able to screw up the Vet Alliance. Actually, the episode afterwards was so spicy and we loved it. And then it all went to crap. And then Priscilla was thrown in.
But she at least she also called out Ashley in that second one as well. So it's just like 3 pretty big moments and lots of airtime showing that she was like, yeah, we're definitely getting her back. I'm glad she's coming back, actually. I enjoyed her.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Do you know what I'm also a big fan of? Mid-season trailers.
You do love mid-season trailers.
I do. And we got a mid-season trailer at the end of this episode. Just a question for you guys. Any moments that excited you? Any moments that you thought, oh, what's going to happen here?
I actually don't watch the mid-season trailer because the last one ruined so much of the season for me. So I basically got a clip of T-Bone and I went, no, calm yourself. So I was excited about that. But I've been excited about that since before the season started airing.
What about you, Drew?
I'm actually doing a mid-season trailer breakdown for tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk. So I'm very much looking forward to setting up 15 to 20 minutes on a 1.5-minute trailer, just going at scene by scene, just filibustering. But I don't know. I'm tempering my expectations because I was so hyped about the actual trailer leading into this season and then how it's been going on. And I just wanted some really spicy stuff in it. But I'm looking forward to the ditch one. It seems like Tori gets really frustrated with somebody calling somebody out. And I just remember in the actual super trailer, somebody gets laid out. Somebody is coming around the corner. And I don't know if it's Casey. I don't know who it is, but somebody lays them out. And I think it's only Casey because she played football. So she knows how to really hit up high. And I don't know. Tori looks like she's doing some jabberjawing. I don't know if maybe there's some team switching and maybe Casey's on a different team than Tori, and you never know. Maybe she just lays her out, and it's going to be very, very interesting to say the least, I think.
As a horrendously biased British podcast host, the part that I am most looking forward to is that moment we saw where Carl said, if you throw me in, that's the end of our friendship. Now, obviously, classic editing. They then cut to Devon sitting on the stairs looking sad. It definitely won't be Devon, in my opinion, just based on that editing. I would love it if it was CT and CT just went, mate, I vote you in every season. We're not actually friends.
The only thing that I think it could be Devon is because of the whole snake thing that happened earlier on, where he sabotaged Devon. They had that big fallout for like half a day. And I think maybe it could come back around. They seem to like really like harp on that when it first happened. And I was like, come on, guys. Like, seriously, it's just a game. Like, you guys are still going to work together.
If it is Devon because of that, that is proper like Ted Lasso style long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
Oh, I finally started watching that, by the way. It's brilliant.
It's so good. Basically, George brings up lots and lots of different TV shows on the podcast. I'm like, I literally watched The Challenge and Ted Lasso, and that's it.
I had just got Apple TV and I haven't tried it yet. I just finished Mythic Quest and I'm in the middle of the first season of Morning Show. And so I'm those two shows are like so good right now, and I can't wait to start Ted Lasso.
Mythic Quest is the next on my list. I've been told by I'm very good at derailing work calls from what we're meant to talk about when I haven't prepared what I meant to. I had not prepared something massive today, so I got 10 people talking about Apple TV and what I should watch on it, and that wasted 15 minutes, and I got away with murder. So, but Mythic Quest is now the next thing I have to watch.
And George, like you do your work calls, I'm just going to quickly derail this conversation. We'll talk about it when we stop recording, because this is a podcast all about the challenge. And Drew, I know you're excited about watching Ted Lasso, but I think I am very excited about watching your challenge mid-season breakdown. Where can we see your content? Where can we follow you? And by we, I mean myself, George, and all of the listeners and viewers.
You mean both the listeners?
You can check us out. Check me out. Check us out. What am I like?
The Royal We
personalities.
You're with the Brits now.
Yeah,
the Royal
exactly. I do talk to myself quite a bit because nobody's around. Anyways, so you can catch me on YouTube mostly at Angel Cake Entertainment. But most of the time, if you put Angel Cake the Challenge, it'll pop up. Something will pop up of mine. I do a ton of challenge in-season stuff about Challenge 37. All-Stars just got announced. I'm going to be doing a lot on that. I do a lot of videos about the challenge and some that aren't. You can check out Tiny Table Talk, where we're going to have that mid-season trailer on Friday, this Friday at 10:14 is 14:10. I think it's called in British terms, right? You put the day before the month.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Logically.
14th of October. Today's the 14th of October. I've lost the plot.
I mean, the 15th. I don't know when my birthday is. It's the 15th. So I'm gonna put it out on then, and hopefully it's not gonna be 20 minutes. My gosh, I hope that it's definitely not that long.
And this Tiny Table Talk will be on your YouTube channel.
Yes, Angel Cake Entertainment.
And people can follow you over on Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter at Drew Angelman, just my name, and I mainly post about my videos. So if you don't want to go to YouTube and type out Angel Cake Entertainment, you can just go to my at Drew Angelman on Instagram and just click on the link that I have in the bio, and I'll take you to a video, which leads to my channel.
Well, I, for one, am very looking forward to 10:15 or 15:10 or whatever you call it, wherever you're from, because I can't wait for the mid-season trailer breakdown. And I guess with that said, we'll continue the conversation over on Reddit. You guys can talk about some Apple TV over on Zoom. And if you want to continue the conversation with us, you can do so over on our Instagram page, which is at Challenge React. But to whet your appetite for Drew's mid-season trailer breakdown, we're going to leave you with the mid-season trailer for this season of the challenge. You ready, George? Spies, Lies, and